Hello and welcome back to Fintech Focus TV with me, Toby, and joined again by David Moonie. David, how are you?
I'm well, thank you very much.
Good, good. So, second in a series of episodes we're doing with David. He is a sales coach working with dmaConnect and worked in the financial markets for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Over that time, you've seen the highs and lows of sales in the fintech space.
Yes.
Some great successes and helped some people really grow and build their businesses off the back of it. Now you're working with a number of different people to help them grow and thrive in their sales teams.
Yes.
One of the areas which you've got a bee in your bonnet about at the moment is planning.
Yeah.
And it's something which I always think the unglamorous stuff makes the glamorous stuff happen. And sales planning is one of those areas that doesn't get the sort of kudos. It isn't the sexy part of sales, right?
No.
But whenever you look at the highest performing salespeople that I've seen over the years, again 20 years in the industry as well, the highest performing salespeople sit there and they have meticulous plans which they execute. Keep it as simple as possible. Now you've got some real good thoughts about this.
Yes.
The floor's yours. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on sales planning or the lack of it.
And I think that's the key thing, the lack of it. You know, one thing that amazes me is both as an individual and management don't insist or have a personal sales plan against their target. So every year, you're allocated your budget, and your each individual has their target they must achieve. And they sort of break this down whether it's a month or a quarter and say that's what I need to get in and let's get cracking, and that's it. It's very much sort of shooting from the hip. Let me just go out and get it. Very little thought is actually sat down and worked out, right, how am I actually going to get this target? What do I need to do? What's my overall target? What's my quarterly target? What products is this going to be like? What major account am I going to try and secure to bring this in? What cross-selling am I going to do? Then breaking down saying, okay, then how am I going to do this? I'm going to need so many face-to-face meetings. I'm going to need so many calls. I'm going to need this, get in front of these type of people for them to actually buy my product. What role are they? How am I going to get in there? What other areas am I going to do? Is there going to be any roundtables, or events, or private invites that we're going to give out and speeches? So there's no, I find that with sales team, there's very little planning. People plan for their holiday, far better more than actually plan for their actual professional life. You go on holiday, you turn around and say, right, what's your plan on holiday? Right, I know I'm going to go away in these 2 weeks. Right, where am I going to go? Right, I'm going to go to Italy. Whereabouts in Italy are you going to go? Right, I'm going to go to the Amalfi Coast. Right, what hotel am I going? Right, I'm going to go. These are the 3 hotels, and then I'm going to research them 3 hotels, and I'm going to do this. And now I'm going to go. Right, I need to get my clothes, and I need to get my thing. And people actually plan it down to the taxi's booked. I know the taxi's going to pick me up, and they're going to take me to the airport, and I'm going to do this. So they've planned their holiday meticulously, down to the fine detail, and yet, in a sales environment, many salespeople turn up on a Monday and go, right, what am I going to do today?
Yeah.
If there's nothing in the diary, where am I allocating time for calls? Who am I calling? Why am I calling them? That's key as well. Where am I going with this?
Yeah.
And it also helps both ways. If you look at the individual, having that plan helps them take ownership.
Yeah.
They take ownership, right? The target you've given me, I now own. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain to them, to my peers, and also I'm going to say to my management, this is how I'm going to get there. It also gives me focus, right? I know I need to be doing these amount of meetings a week. It allows me to have a more creative thinking. How am I going to do something? Let's think outside the box, as they say. Let's really think this. Because whatever your plan is, you will be presenting this and should be presenting this not only to your team to share ideas, because what a great way of actually going, that could really work. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, guys, this is why this won't work, X, Y, Z. Yeah. Through to you know, I need marketing budget to do this, and I'd rather marketing be spending their money in here, because not only have I said that, but 2 other guys have said this.
Yeah.
And this is where we want the business to back us and work together. So you have this collaboration between the salesperson and the actual marketing and the sales management as well, of actually where you're going. So you're all focused on one direction, which is great. But also it takes you know, accountability. So if I've created a plan, I've created that plan, not my boss, not a marketing, not a product manager. It's me.
Yeah.
I've created this plan. I now can sit down, you know, as a sales manager. Can you imagine that? You know, we need to have our one-to-ones. You know, usually the one-to-ones is, right, where are you? What's your main, or your pipeline? You know, some of that is, you know, as we said before, could be a little bit, you know, inflated, just to sort of take the pressure off of, you know, I'm not really doing great here. But if you can go back to your plan and say, right, where are you to this plan? Are you making these calls? Are you making the, you know, the one-to-ones? You know, you know, the event's coming up next week. You know, how many people are going to be attending that you wanted to attend to because it was one of your ideas? But it gives the sales manager a very clear idea of where the salesperson wants to go. But it also gives the salesperson that, you know, road that they need to go down, and they're not going to deviate off it and not get sidetracked because something more glittery or more important as far as they're concerned has happened, and they need to go back on the plan, because the plan is to reach the goal. Yeah. And they're not going to reach the goal unless they're following the plan. Yeah. So it actually gives them, I think it gives them, it takes a bit of a weight off a lot of salespeople, and we've spoken about a little bit touching on a bit about mental health, and it's one of the things, you know, stress. You know, if you actually know where you're going, the stress, you know, you imagine driving to somewhere where you've never been before, you're not too sure where you're with no sat-nav, but you're just going to guess how you get in there. You've got a sort of an idea. But if you've got a sat-nav and you're following, there's no stress. You're just following it, and it tells you to turn left or turn right. It's nice and easy, and this is what that plan can give you. Now, it can be a living document. It can change because the nature of the business, things do change, but it at least gives you that path of where you're going.
There's an interesting part in that, isn't there? Because you sort of alluded a while ago to something more interesting turning up. And, you know, salespeople are like magpies quite often, right? There's something new and shiny, I'm going to move to that rather than do the stuff that absolutely is going to get me to where I need to be. And I think proper sales planning allows that discipline. There has to be things there which are urgent deals, which move your plan outside. But actually being disciplined enough to know what those urgent things are and actually have that pre-planned is a really important part of that as well.
Absolutely.
And I think if, you know, when we look at day planning, it becomes about focus and discipline. When we look about yearly planning, monthly planning, you know, setting the targets that you're talking about there, it allows people to have that structure to achieve what they need to achieve during a set period. And one of the expressions I love is that the task will expand to fit the time you give it. And that becomes productivity. And how many salespeople are unproductive because of the lack of time they're investing into the right things being done on a day-to-day basis, because a big target is effectively a number of different targets that are broken down to be achieved.
Correct, yeah.
And so when we look at this and we think of something as basic as day one, as sales 101 of planning effectively for things, why does it remain such a big issue that people fly by the seat of their pants a little bit, and why is it that so many salespeople are finger in the air about what they're going to do today on a day-to-day basis? Where does that come from?
Culture. It's the culture of the business. The business doesn't request it. Business, you know, sales management doesn't ask people to do a personal plan. Yeah. You know, if I look back in my career, there's been the account plan. You know, pick your 3 largest accounts and tell me everything about me. Get me an org chart in there, was always important, and do this. And you know, but actually, when I think back, they were very few. You know, some of the large organisations, I'm sure, you know, have these in place. But you know, where I'm really focusing on this is, what I've seen is, you know, it can go from large to small business, especially the medium-sized companies which are expanding. They're trying to compete against the larger organisations, and then everything. Yes, it does move fast, but not as fast that you can't have that plan. And it's a cultural thing that it's not required. And you know, salespeople can be like little children. You don't ask them to do something, we run around and get excited about loads of things. So you have to keep us sort of a little bit focused on where we want to go.
Yeah.
And this is a way of keeping us focused. So for me, it's not that the sales individual doesn't do it. Good sales individual will write their own plan.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the management haven't requested that they do that, because it benefits the management that they know what their plan is, and it's something you can talk to them, make them accountable for. You know, you own this plan. You've said that you're going to do this, and as you said, that big deal does come on board, brilliant. But that big deal should be part of the plan.
Yeah.
But if you're working out that you need to have, 10, 20 meetings a month or a week with new prospects or with clients to bring in new business, you realise that you've done none because you're so busy on another opportunity, there's going to be an impact, because your plan has dictated there will be an impact on your final target. So you have to work out what's going on. Am I spending my time effectively on this deal or not? And then there's a great conversation to have with your manager. It's about sharing. You're not, or this isn't all you. You then can go to your management and say, right, this is my plan. This is what I should be doing. I'm not doing this because of this deal. What do we do? And it's a collaboration. What do we do?
Yeah.
And then together you will work out what the right path is. But at least you've got approval from management. The management are bought into what you're trying to do. And it's a collaboration, which is great.
So if you could, and you've done this for a long time now, but if you could write a prototype, an ideal sales plan for someone, and saying, look, you're in this sector, you're about to take on this thing, here's your target, now let's work out about how to develop a plan. How does someone develop a great sales plan?
It's starting with the core elements. So the first thing is, what's the goal? What is the goal? What are you trying to achieve? And then break that down a little bit. Then, as I said, it could be the number. Yeah. Right. Okay. How is that broken down to? What specific products are you going to be selling in there? So what are you going to be focusing on? It's very good if I've got a number of products. If you take the telecommunications environment, it is, am I going to be selling, some network, or am I going to be selling hosting, or am I going to be selling something else, a cloud environment to them? So what am I actually going to be selling? Because I've got three main products, and how am I going to break that down? Who are my major clients that, am I going to bring a new one in? Is this I want to bring in this client or this type of client, and I'm going to find them to fit in. Am I going to cross-sell? Upsell. What am I going to look to sell into there? So it's really understanding what you're going to do. Then it's the strategy. So you have the goal, then you have the strategy. Okay, what's my strategy? What am I going to try and do? Well, I need to have face-to-faces. I need to be in front of people. I need to get it done within this amount of time. Per week, per month. Whatever it may be. I want to do a round table because I think that would be really good for my hosting environment. We've got to do some articles, get our articles out and build it up, whatever that may be. Then behind that is the actions, right? I've said I'm going to build an article, right? When? What is it going to be about? When am I going to get it done by?
So deadlining yourself. And
absolutely. My actions, I now need to get in front of people. Right, how many people? I need to get in front of 10 people. Right, how many calls do I need to make to actually get in front of those people? So
you're starting to talk about the metrics now.
Absolutely. And then you sort of say, right, this is what I need to drive. And then another key one that you have is obstacles. Well, before we get into obstacles, expense. How much is this going to cost? There's an additional expense that I need to have. And then you have obstacles, which could be the budget. We just don't have the budget to do that. Right, okay, but this is a discussion point. It could be, well, I've got an internal problem. I've got an anti-sales department or an anti-sales person that really hinders what I'm trying to do. It's not great, not good for me. It has to be brought up. Right, how can we overcome it? Things are not brought up. Obstacles are just things that can be overcome. Then you think round, that's about creative thinking. It allows people to think of different ways that you can do something, whether it's an expense or, if the process is not working. More of the time, the anti-sales is a process. This process doesn't work for us. Right, you've highlighted it. How can you work around it? There is a way of actually working around that. Then there's I use the SMART. Then you just go through. Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it, which everybody knows, go through that. But then you just check it. And all that is just a check. Okay, I've written my plan down. Let's go back and make sure that it actually works. Is it real? Am I doing the correct thing? I'm not going to turn around and say, right, I'm selling certain technology, and my number one client is going to be Apple or Google. What's the realistic as a startup that you're going to get into seeing? Well, there's not. Right, it's unrealistic. So let's start with what is realistic. And I'm going to do it in 3 months. Well, again, that's unrealistic. Let's put it down.
This is the one of the dangers of this, because we've spoken before about ego in salespeople and hubris, and I think one of the things that you look at in salespeople is unreal expectations being set for themselves. And what happens is you'll set an expectation that's here. You'll be here in terms of how far close you get to it. You'll be working, that moves a little bit further away, and your target, your ability to do it moves back, and it has a spiral of focus, confidence, and motivation off the back of it, because you've gone with expectations that are simply too high and unattainable. So I think there is an element here, and I think this is where great coaching comes into setting people's expectations of not being pessimistic and walking over a small fence, but also not trying to pole vault the Great Wall of China at the same time in terms of what you're trying to do.
Absolutely, I think it's keeping it real. So you need to be realistic in your in your goals and what you're trying to achieve, and that's key. And I think where a coach comes in, and it's intertwined with the sales management. I think where a coach can come in, it can look at where you're trying to go, keep you on track, but also it can help you with your own personal development, on your own personal challenges. As we go back into that fear of showing weakness, having an independent sort of coach there allows you to sort of open up maybe a little bit more, sort of bring the barriers down and help you overcome some of the challenges that you might have, and look at things at where you can improve, and one of them is personal development. What do you need to do? Is it product knowledge? Is it sector knowledge? Is it sort of some skills that you need to learn in your profession? What you can do around that, what you can take on board to make you sort of self-motivated in doing something, and what maybe you can ask the company and your sales manager to maybe look at some training for you. So it's working with the individual and getting that consistency that they can see themselves becoming a better them.
No, I think that's absolutely right. And if we look at where I think a demonstrable improvement can be made in anyone in sales, it's arresting this sort of issue and giving people the tools and the ability to know where they're heading. And we talk about quality, quantity, and direction probably being some of the most important parts of sales success. Either enough quality in how you're pitching, or enough quantity of calls or marketing, whatever it is. The direction piece of actually knowing where you're heading and making the right calls and investing your time in the right areas, to me, is one of the fundamental things that separates the good from the great, and the bad from the good as well.
Absolutely, and it is, and we keep sort of talking about the mental health side, about stress and anxiety. It's because people don't know where they're going and don't know how to get there. They've been given this target and they're just not sure what to get there. And or
enter stage right, David Moonie and DMA.
Hopefully so.
Well, I know it's something you're doing great work with, and I know it's something you can really add value to salespeople about. So, look, if people are at home and interested in this, they should definitely reach out to you. We've given the details beforehand, but getting in touch on the website, getting in touch through LinkedIn, I can highly recommend it, and I think this is going to be something which can add real value to businesses. So, David, thanks for sharing your thoughts on it, and we'll see you again very soon.
No, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching,
Bye.
And we'll see you soon on another episode of Fintech Focus TV.